stated Talut had two sons, Bachia and Armiyah. Bachia had a son, Asaph, and Afghan had 24 sons, and no one among the Israelites compared with the descendants of Afghan. On page 65 it is stated that Nebuchadnezzar occupied the whole of Sham, Syria, etc., exiled the Israelite tribes, and sent them to settle in Gaur, Ghazni, Kabul, Kandar, and Koch Firoz, where the descendants of Asaph and Afghan particularly took up their abode. On pages 37 and 38 of this book, on the authority of the author of Majmal Ansakh and of Mastawfi, the author of Tarikh Buzidah, it is stated that in the lifetime of the Holy Prophet, on whom be peace and blessings of God, Khalid bin Walid invited to Islam the Afghans who, after the event of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, had taken up residence in the Ghaur territory. The Afghan chiefs, under the leadership of Qais, who was a descendant of Talut in the 37th degree, came to the Holy Prophet, on whom be peace and blessings of God. Here the genealogy of Abdul Rashid Qais is given up to Talut Saul. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of God be upon him, conferred the title of Pathan on the chiefs. And the chiefs returned to their territory and began to preach Islam. In the same book, Mahzan-i Afghan, on page 63, it is recorded that Farid-ud-Din Ahmad makes the following statement concerning the titles Beni Afghanach or Beni Afghan in his book Rasalach Ansab-i Afghaniyah. After Nebuchadnezzar the Magian had conquered the Israelites in the Sham territories, and when he had sacked Jerusalem, he took the Israelites prisoners and exiled them as slaves. He took away with him several of their tribes who followed the Mosaic law, and ordered them to forsake their ancestral faith and to worship him instead of God, which they refused to do. Consequently, Nebuchadnezzar put to death 2,000 of the most intelligent and the wisest people from among them, and ordered the rest that they should remove themselves from his kingdom and from the Sham territory. Some of them left Nebuchadnezzar's territory under a chief and went away to the Ghaur hills. Their descendants settled down in this place, multiplied, and the people began to call them Beni Israel, Beni Asaph, and Beni Afghan. On page 64, the said author states that trustworthy records like Tarikh-i Afghani, Tarikh-i Ghauri, etc., contained the assertion that the Afghans are mostly Beni Israel, and some of them are of Coptic origin. Moreover, Abul Fazl states that some Afghans regard themselves as of Egyptian origin, the reason stated by them being that when the Beni Israel returned to Egypt from Jerusalem, this tribe, that is, the Afghans, migrated to India. On page 64, Farid-ud-Din Ahmad says about the title Afghan, quote, "About the title Afghan, some have recorded that after exile from Syria, they used always to bewail and cry, Fakhan, in remembrance of their home. They were therefore named Afghans." Sir John Malcolm is also of the same opinion. See History of Persia, Volume 1, page 101. On page 63 is set out Mekhabat Khan's statement, "As they are the followers and relations of Solomon, on whom be peace, they are therefore styled Sulaimanis by the Arabs." On page 65 it is written that almost all Oriental historians' researches show that the Afghan people's own view is that they are of Jewish origin. Some of the historians of today have adopted the same view, or very likely have regarded it as true. As to the adoption of Jewish names by Afghans being due to their having accepted Islam, there is nothing to support the translator Bernhard Doran's view. In northern and western Punjab there are tribes of Hindu origin that have become Muslims, but whose names are not after the names of the Jewish people, which clearly shows that by becoming Muslims, people do not necessarily adopt Jewish names. In features, the Afghans have a striking resemblance to the Jews, a fact which is admitted even by those scholars who do not subscribe to the view that the Afghans are of Jewish origin. This may be the only available proof of their Jewish descent. In this connection, Sir John Malcolm's words are as follows: The origin of the Afghan tribes who inhabit the mountainous tract between Khorasan and the Indus is variously traced by different historians. Some assert that they are lineally descended from the Jewish tribes made prisoners by Nebuchadnezzar, and the principal chiefs are said to trace their families to David and Saul. Although their right to this proud descent is very doubtful, it is evident from their personal appearance and many of their usages that they are a distinct race from the Persians, Tatars, and Indians, and this alone seems to give some credibility to a statement which is contradicted by many strong facts and of which no direct proof has been produced. If similarity of features between one people and another can point to anything, the Kashmiris, with their Jewish features, would certainly be found to be of Jewish origin. This has been mentioned not only by Bernier, but also by Forster and perhaps other scholars. Although Forster does not accept Bernier's opinion, he admits that when he was among the Kashmiris, he thought he was amidst Kashmiris. He thought among the Kashmiris, he thought he was amidst a Jewish people. Regarding the word Kashmiri, there occur the following words on page 250 of A.K. Johnston's Dictionary of Geography. On page 250, under the heading Kashmir, the natives are of a tall, robust frame of body, with manly features, the women full-formed and handsome, with aquiline nose and features resembling the Jewish. In the Civil and Military Gazette, 23rd November 1898, page 4. Under the heading Sawati and Afridi, there is reproduced a very valuable and interesting paper presented to the anthropological section of the British Association at one of its recent meetings, which will be read at the winter session before the Committee on Anthropological Research. The paper is set out below. Long quotation as follows. Below we are enabled to give the complete text of the highly valuable and interesting paper contributed to the anthropological section at the recent meeting of the British Association and still to be read before the Anthropological Institute at one of its winter meetings. The original Paktan or Pathan inhabitants of these western gates of India are recognized in very early history, many of their tribes being mentioned by Herodotus and the historians of Alexander. In medieval times, the rough, uncultivated wilderness of mountains they held was called Roch, and its inhabitants Rochilas, and there can be little doubt that most of these early Rochila or Pathan tribes were in their places long before the overlying Afghan tribes were thought of. All Afghans whatsoever now counted as Pathans, because they all speak the Pathan language, Pushtu. They acknowledge no direct kinship, claiming themselves to be Ben Israel, the descendants of those tribes who were carried captive to Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar. All of them have, however, adopted the Pashtu tongue, and all recognize the same Pathan code of common civil observances called Pakhtanwali, which is in many of its provisions curiously suggestive both of the old Mosaic dispensation and of ancient observances of the Rajput races. Israelitish traces. Thus the Pathans, with whom we have lately been so largely concerned, may be divided into two great communities, that is, tribes and clans such as Waziris, Afridis, Orakzais, etc., who are of Indian origin, and those who are Afghans, who claim to be Semitic, and who represent the dominant race throughout our frontier. And it seems at least to be possible that the Pakhtanwali, which is an unwritten code and which is acknowledged by them all alike, may be of very mixed origin indeed. We may find in it Mosaic ordinances grafted onto Rajput traditions and modified by Muslim custom. The Afghans, who call themselves Duranis, and who have done so ever since the foundation of the Durrani Empire about a century and a half